It's been another day of delays at some of Europe's biggest airports, including Heathrow, as the fallout from the cyber attack at the weekend continues. This year, a series of hacks have caused havoc at Marks & Spencer, the Co-op, and now Jaguar Land Rover. And this morning, the Chancellor pointed the finger at Moscow.
We also need to deal with as a source. Where is this coming from? It's coming from hostile states, states like Russia. And that's why we are upping what we are doing. A number of these attacks originate in Russia by Russian-backed entities. And we are getting a grip of that.
This is serious. Jaguar Land Rover has not made a single car since it discovered it had been hacked 22 days ago. The company hasn't said when production will restart. Meanwhile, its suppliers have begun to lay off staff.
Jaguar Land Rover are working closely with the National Cybersecurity Centre to deal with this attack. But there is a wider issue here of ensuring that foreign states, including Russia, cannot bring down production or flights or public services in Britain. It is a new and a growing threat.
State-sponsored cyber attacks have been a reality for years. In 2017, North Korea was blamed for the WannaCry computer virus, a global hack which paralysed parts of the NHS. But attacks aren't always easy to trace back to source.
Cybersecurity is something where you always have to be sceptical. You can't take everything at face value. It may have all the hallmarks of an attack from Russia, but we need the evidence. We need solid evidence. And at the moment, I think it's a little too soon, especially the airports attack, to say that it was definitely the Russian state.
The Chancellor says that during last week's state visit, the Prime Minister spoke to President Trump about what more can be done to prevent Russia from disrupting both the American and the British economies.
Not just Britain, the whole of Europe is actually under attack from Russia. And I mentioned these incidents, they take place in Germany, in France, in Poland, in Czech Republic, and in the United Kingdom. Yes, in a way, we are at war with Russia because this is how Russia sees us.
As more and more of what we do moves online, we become increasingly vulnerable to cyber attacks. The Chancellor says both government and industry must do more to respond.
Well, it's all very well, isn't it? But what is the government and then the Chancellor planning to do about this?
It's not entirely clear. I mean, you heard there the Chancellor speak of hostile states, but she deliberately singled out Russia as being responsible for some of the attacks on British businesses so far this year. She didn't say how this had been traced back to Moscow, but the comments were unprompted and she repeated them. She didn't also provide evidence to support the allegation. Now, you may have heard some scepticism there in my report. The Chancellor has been in regular contact with the Chief Executive of Jaguar Land Rover. She's had briefings, obviously, from the National Cybersecurity Centre, as well as the National Crime Agency. Microsoft, as we saw, were in town in London last week. Microsoft has digital security centres, a national cybercrime unit. It monitors these sorts of things. A couple of years ago, it was Microsoft that named North Korea as the source of the WannaCry virus. Microsoft would not tell me tonight what intelligence it has passed to the government. Now, the Chancellor spoke of tougher sanctions on Russia, but didn't elaborate on how they would be linked to the cyber attacks. It is worth noticing, though, that separately, the Chancellor was in Copenhagen this weekend with finance ministers from the European Union. They were discussing what to do with the Russian assets that have been frozen, $300 billion of them. Britain holds around £25 billion worth, we think. In June, the Prime Minister said it was releasing 70 million, I beg your pardon, in interest to help with the Ukrainian war effort. The sense you get is that the Chancellor is pushing for complete confiscation if it's legally possible. We did approach the Kremlin for comment tonight. Mary, we've yet to hear back.